I'm having to shoot this again because the first time I did it, I had my headphones plugged in, so didn't catch any of the audio. So hopefully I do as good of a job as I did the first time. But today is February 19th, and we're going to be talking about a podcast that came out between Andreas Antonopoulos and Stephan Livera. This was a conversation between what I guess we could call a Bitcoin maximalist and a quote-unquote multi-coiner, if you will. And I want to do a couple of things in this video. I want to first, sort of talk about why I think this conversation was very timely. It was a very amicable and much needed conversation that I think hopefully will do the general space a lot of good. Two, sort of talk about what I think was the takeaway from this conversation, and then three, kind of just tie it all together with some last thoughts. And so I want to start off by saying that I think that this conversation took place at a very good time, given that we've been in a multi-year bear market now, and it's understandable that throughout the last year and 3 months, 4 months, that the animal spirits have sort of really come out during this time. And I believe that on both sides, there's definitely been a lot of going at people's throats. And so to have two titans of the industry, if you will, two people who are very respected on both sides of the aisle come together and have this conversation, I think that it was just much needed. And hopefully it starts a dialogue and a process of understanding. And so this kind of leads us into what I think was the big takeaway from this conversation. I think the main takeaway was that sort of what I think Andreas Antonopoulos was able to do was demonstrate that if you can kind of reduce down sort of some of the beliefs of maximalism and multi-coinism, and get down to sort of a couple of assumptions and I guess, I don't know what to say, really like beliefs about how things will play out, you see that Bitcoin maximalism, which is better defined as monetary maximalism, and sort of this multi-coin future are not necessarily incompatible in terms of how things play out. Maybe there are some differences in opinion in terms of, sort of what percentage of the Bitcoin dominance, if you will, Bitcoin will maintain or have 30, 40 years from now. And I think that on Stephan Livera's side, he did a good job at sort of assessing whether if there is sort of this tailwind of app tokens that accrue some value, and those tokens are measured in Bitcoin. Like, is it appropriate to even call those things money? And so if let's say there's some sort of distribution in terms of value accrual in which Bitcoin takes, and they had this conversation in percentages, right? Whether it be like 70% of the market or 85 or 90% or 95%, right? Like they had different opinions in terms of this dominance, but what they were able to sort of get at is that, okay, yes, maybe there are some other tokens that exist that are priced in Bitcoin and are really more like gift certificates, as Stephan Livera showed. And on the Antonopoulos side, whether the remaining 10 or 20% of the market that forms, Andreas, I think intelligently said at this time he's not really willing to put percentages on, he couldn't guess, but sort of whether other blockchains will be able to accrue value and that serve different purposes and offer different trade-offs from what Bitcoin offers in terms of security and in terms of creating a new security architecture for the internet. And my final kind of thoughts on this, because this video is already getting a lot longer than it needed to be, is that I thought that this conversation was, as I've already said, just very much needed. And I hope that it allows, sort of both sides, and I kind of put myself more on the Bitcoin maximalist side. I've actually made a video where I talk about Bitcoin majoritarianism, which is kind of how I identify. And I actually didn't even know that a theory of maximalists existed until this conversation. I guess it's because I put myself in an echo chamber. But anyways, Yeah, I just hope that as we look into what I think a lot of people are expecting to be a continued bear market into 2019, and however long it lasts, that this allows people to maybe bring down their guards and be more open minded and willing to have a conversation about what this future looks like and how we can push the cryptocosm as a whole forward. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I was really happy that this conversation took place. So I want to thank you, Stephan Livera and Andreas Antonopoulos, for being willing to come together and have this conversation. Yeah. See you guys in the next video. Peace.